congressional staff for the Hill. We had to track it, but we had some supporters there, which was critical. As you recall, right? You were very good at that as well, but others on the Secretary's team were less adroit in working with the Hill, and so we had to deal with some of that.
So was the mechanisms? This is kind of a detailed question, but the mechanisms that you used to assess the talent into the organization. Were the technical experts that you pulled in generally brought on board as govies? Did you leverage them as contractors, or all of the above?
All of the above. Whatever it took to get them on board. My preference was government, to have them either as some form of government employee or military employee. But if we had to bring them on as a full-time contractor, we would go to that methodology. Right? So I showed up with 3 other partners, and we divided and conquered. So, and we were fortunate, right? There was a wellspring of interest of patriots here in the Valley that wanted to work on really exciting stuff, cared about the mission, and decided to join forces. Like, we had former venture capitalists, we had CEOs, right? Like, in the words of Frank Kendall, these guys were post-economic. So they didn't need the job, but they just cared about the mission and decided to come and do it.
I like that, post-economic.
So, Raj, you had alluded to the fact that the DIUX, one of its core missions was to forge new pathways for innovation. And we've been asking this to a range of our interviewees. I'm just curious to know what is your definition, so to speak, of innovation, and what do you see as innovation? That's a great question. It's a word that is far overused, I think, in the government. My flip answer is that the government needs to do less innovation. Stop innovating on your travel system, on your cloud infrastructure, on your IT, on your software processes. Don't innovate. Just use what the rest of the world uses, right? Because they're all stuck in the 1980s. So I think part of it was less around specific technologies. So we did bring key tech, but just even how do you think about software? How do you buy software? How do you maintain software? How do you develop it? You can't buy an aircraft carrier the same way you buy a piece of software, which is what they do. So understanding data. So to me, what is innovation? To me, it's a process of continual improvement to maximize your capability for your resources. And so, the good news, I guess, the easy news is there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in that the rest of the world had already innovated for about 20, 30 years. So all we had to do was just find a way to bring that in and actually create new things. But once you have that, you have a cloud infrastructure, now you can think about, hey, what are interesting AI techniques and machine learning techniques I can use to make sense of this data? But the early days was just, can we even store the data, keep the data, look at it, know we have data. I actually, don't quote me in a footnote, but I actually try to remove the word innovation from DIUX.
Interesting. Got it. So you're saying that at least at this point, it's to focus more on getting sort of the basics right and sort of the infrastructure in place, and then sort of leverage that to actually be able to innovate in some manner.
I say that facetiously, right? So I don't actually. That's why I preface it like that, right? But I think people get so wrapped around thinking about innovation, about trying to get the perfect new bespoke widget, but rather that in this day and age, part of what innovation is not just, and let me rephrase, we don't care for innovation for innovation's sake. We care for innovation for decisiveness on the battlefield, right? We never want a fair fight. And if you think about modern technology, one of the key characteristics is not just the specific technology, but how fast it changes. So the real innovation in my book, and what I designed when I had the chance at DIU, was the victor will not be who just has one particular technology, but who is able to ingest and operationalize the quickest. the march of technology will continue. There'll always be some new innovation. The force that can operationalize that faster will be victorious. And so a lot of this is, changing processes and like the unglamorous stuff of how do you do accreditation faster continuously. How do we fit into these timelines, an acquisition and fielding timeline that doesn't match with how modern technology works. So I'll give you an example, right, that I always used to give, right? Because one of the issues when you bring new technology to bear is the training and supply chain behind that, right? So, hey, I want to put a new pane of glass on a submarine. How long is it going to take me to train the sailors, right? That's a very key question. But when you think about modern technology, I ask, who has the instruction manual for any app on your phone? Have you read the instruction manual? Is there one? No. So when you think about modern interfaces, they must have a level of intuition and usability that forgoes the need for a 100-page 2-year class on how to, interface with a system. So again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but for specific areas, particularly where commercial technology is taking the lead, it's a wholly different mindset.
Right. Got it.
So, I can see the world that you just described as potentially upsetting a lot of equities inside the traditional DoD S&T community, just in terms of how they think about problem solving. Historically, all of the products the DoD uses are internally referenced. What was the response to this type of approach from your seat to some of the lab partners or the DECs or system centers that you may have had to interface with?
I think that at the operational execution level, we had a lot of supporters, right? People that were there because they cared about the mission, they cared about getting it right. So we had lots of supporters. I probably did not build a reputation as one that made a lot of friends in the middle ranks. The Pentagon can be, as you know, it can be a vicious place. And so, but I viewed my job wasn't to make friends. My job was to get something done. And I knew it wasn't going to be there forever. And I had to support the senior leadership. So, for those that we could co-opt into the mission and our speed, we did. For those that, for whatever equity reasons, could not, we, either went around or went through.
Got it. Yeah, I kind of operate the same way. What would you characterize as your greatest accomplishment during your tenure at DIUX?
I would say the greatest accomplishment is people both in the Pentagon and people in the Valley, I think, recognize the art of the possible and are excited to find ways to build these relationships and solve problems. Right? The number of we can vociferously debate whether or not having 20 different innovation organizations is good or bad, but the fact that there are there and they're all trying to tap into the Valley and tap into places like that is a good sign, right? Everyone's trying to think in the DUX department how to be more innovative, how to move faster, how many OTAs are now being used everywhere. And again, we debate whether these things are good or not, but certainly it's a focus. The intent is there, and I think you see the same in the Valley. Entrepreneurs that are trying to solve defense problems are no longer laughed out of town. Right? They're getting rounds done, and they're building companies. So, I think that it's catalyzed all these people is and is going to last and continue to grow. It's the single greatest accomplishment that the team that we did.
I mean, do you think that that ultimate success for DIUX or DIU is DIUX or DIU no longer needing to exist?
Absolutely. If the whole department worked at the speed and the openness is, you could shut it down, so you don't need anymore.
Is there a specific reason why DIU is so sort of closely interlinked or trying to cooperate with Silicon Valley as opposed to other innovation clusters in the U.S. Often, more sort of emerging clusters, also maybe, very interesting technology and entrepreneurs and people interested to work with the military and to have impact by involving their startup with the military, instead of actually going to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, when I say the word Silicon Valley, I mean the broader innovation ecosystem. We tried to marry. We were working. We spent a lot of time working with venture-backed startups, so a lot of our laydown followed the spread of venture in this country. So in my time, obviously we had the Silicon Valley office, but we opened an office in Boston, and we opened an office in Austin, Texas. They're both still operating. And of course, we had an office in the Pentagon. So could you go to a few more? Probably, but 4 offices is enough to manage.
So what do you consider to be your great unfinished business? I mean, did you put a bow on everything that you hoped to accomplish when you walked out the door, or were there things you would have hoped to accomplish that you were not able to?
Yeah, of course. You never get everything you want done. I think the greatest weakness, the greatest failure that I would say was not being able to make the case to Congress to scale it fast enough, right? Because at the end of the day, if you really want to make a change, right, a couple $100 million is a rounding error of a rounding error in the Pentagon. So being able to get to scale faster.
Got it. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
What are some of, based on your experience being involved with DIU in several iterations of DIU, what are some of your lessons learned from that process, and considering especially on how you could engage with the high-tech community, perhaps in a more seamless manner?
So what was that last part again?
No, I'm just, what are your key lessons learned, specifically on how you could engage with, say, the private sector